Welcome to Dexter New Blood. Who dis? This is Michelle and producer lady.
And at Ref Marsh here to take a stab at it.
God. Thought I liked it. I don't know if I like it.
It's good. It's good. It's going to stick.
Okay. All right. Thanks for tuning in again. We're back to cover Dexter this week. Too Many Tuna Sandwiches.
I disagree. There's never too many tuna sandwiches, but we'll see their argument.
So last week we posted, as we do on social media, at WOTR the show, and
youtube.com/wrestling on the rocks.
Yep. So we had posted a little snippet of last week of the podcast, and who should comment at our slight criticism but the director, Marcos Siega.
Yeah, it was crazy, incredible. He was one of the first 10 to listen. By the time he had commented, we had barely hit 10, which was awesome, and a huge thank you. Nothing but respect and love for the stuff he does. As we started looking up other projects he'd worked on, we're like, oh my God, we like most of what he's done, or haven't seen it. We either saw it and loved it, or didn't see the thing that whatever he's been working on. He did Vampire Diaries, Veronica Mars.
Yeah, there was a whole list of stuff that I was like, oh yeah, that makes so much sense. Why we've always loved his work. But he did note that, sorry, I was trying to find the actual tweet real quick. So, Director says on Twitter, he comments to us saying, I enjoy your podcast. We didn't rush the timeline. It's all very deliberate. Look closer, with a smiley face. Which, first off, how is anyone, beyond fans, really listening to us?
Yeah.
Is a wild thought.
It was neat, but it's also cool to think about. You know, the guy cares enough and loves enough about what he's doing that he sees that there is conversation happening about it, and he wants to be privy to it. And I think that's also incredibly cool. He's not trying to shut out any criticism. Yeah. He's welcoming it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So we took this as oh shit, maybe we really just are super blind and we just totally missed it. So we went back and we watched last episode just to double check to make sure, were we just not looking close enough, as he suggested. And I still kind of think I'm not able to suspend my disbelief at Dexter escaping the house in the last scene, right, where he's catching up to his last victim. And we made comment that, he was at the top floor, and then he somehow is escaping the kill room because the cops are coming. And I don't think I'm personally able to suspend disbelief, because in this whole series, Dexter has been very, very slow at his reactions. He hasn't been quick at his improving like original Dexter. And I think the reason for that is because of Deborah. Because with Deb, he was kind of forced to always be lying to her and to lying to everyone around him at all times. And so he just became so good at improving. Whatever he was doing, he could just automatically come up with an excuse. Whereas with this new Dexter, he's always reacting. He's never thinking two steps ahead in that sense, or he's not as smooth as he once was, which is why I think he is, leaving evidence in the first episode. He's not as smooth. So for me, that's why I don't think I could believe that he's as slick, as to get out, as quickly as he does in this scene.
Well, there's that. I think for me, the only hang up I have on that scene specifically is that he's clearly on a top floor and getting in and out of that building. You have to assume he's climbing a tree or something. Like, there's no way he's got a ladder up on the side. They would have seen it, you know? Like, so I'm just, they didn't explain that, and maybe that's just one of those inexplainable little things that happens in shows and movies where they say, hey, it's going to take too much time to try and make that make sense. Let's just assume he gets out. And there's nothing terrible about that either. I think for me, the Dexter that you're talking about being also kind of reactive and sloppy, I think also plays into the tension between him and Harrison in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
He's going through and really spending a lot of time in that one chasing down the people who victimized his son and exacting his revenge. And in doing so, he's neglected his son for an entire day, who now is getting courted by Kurt.
Yep.
And finding solace and opening up to Kurt instead of it being Dexter. Dexter comes home thinking, I did a great job as a father today because I murdered that guy.
Yeah.
And the whole day, all the focus was on Harrison is about how terrible of a father Dexter is.
Yeah.
So it's creating that extra tension there, which is pretty cool. Dexter's like, look, I did a great thing as a dad. And then he goes home and his son is just all like, I'm going to go lay down because fuck you, old man.
Well, it's just what I said. I thought there was going to be this huge miscommunication, and there was. I'm hoping that it doesn't go as tragically as I think it can go, because I automatically think of Harrison's mom. You know, of that just being, well, he was so focused on getting Trinity, little did he know, had he been with his wife, she wouldn't have gotten murdered by Trinity. So it's kind of like, in that same sense, I really hope that we're not going down a tragic tale.
Same thing with Lumen, and same thing with Miguel. He's always had a habit of getting so obsessed with the kill that people around him get hurt. I mean, look what happened with Deb. Deb died because of the same thing. He was obsessed with the kill to the point where he became obsessed with not having to kill and was obsessed with all of that he allowed the people around him to become vulnerable. Once he's found out by any of these other serial killers, it's always crazy to me that he goes, he'll see them face to face and be like, well, this is where we part ways. And it's like, no. At this point, you've come too far to not... And he's made the mistake so many times. But I would say, as far as the idea of the timeline feeling rushed, maybe I didn't explain it great or was a little sloppy about it. I think to me, the reason it felt rushed in that episode was strictly because it was question answer, and the only real motivation we had there was the gut feeling by the cop, which also could be character development. Her gut feeling is getting better. It's getting more accurate. But
yeah,
the reason I say it felt a little rushed was just because it was question answer in the same episode, and maybe I was just expecting more of a process before we get from she has a hunch there's something off between Harrison and Dexter. And when you go back, we looked at it a little bit. You go back and she's always a little bit weird about Dexter and Harrison. Especially when she first meets him and just kind of is accepting of what they say, and that could feed into a suspicion later on. The other police officer who's in there is always very hard on Dexter. Even Dexter, while listening to
the interrogation,
says, I feel intimidated. And we're wondering, that could very well have been very intentional, because that officer knew damn well that Dexter was on the other side of that mirror, or not mirror, but
down the hall.
The window right there. He knew they were both listening, and I think that he was, in a sense, talking to both of them. I think the suspicion of Dexter is present, which could also feed into the gut feeling. But to end with the result based off of a gut feeling that we've seen a little bit here and there, maybe it's another one of those assume she got more work done between the thing, and maybe even in this episode we're about to see, maybe they will backtrack a slight bit and say, here's a little bit of the fill-in.
It is interesting that you mention how sharp Angela is, because I do think it's interesting when I think about Deb, because I do think that I have a hunch that it was intentional, that she does kind of look like Deb. They both have straight hair. They're both kind of thin. They're both cops, obviously. They're both very sharp. But Deb was always, you know, kind of catching up to Dexter. She didn't always understand everything. It didn't always click with her. She always had to check in with Dexter to see, hey, what am I, do my ideas make sense? And with this new Dexter, new blood, Angela's, it seems like it's reversed. She's the sharp one, and Dexter's trying to catch up to her almost in this sense, where, of course, we're not hearing any of Angela's thoughts. We're not hearing her even go back and forth with anyone else, right? So we don't have her side of her thoughts, her perspective, or any of the cops for that matter. We only have Harrison and Dexter's perspectives, which I'm wondering if we're going to start seeing a bit more of everyone else's perspectives, because we really haven't gotten that throughout this whole season.
And we're seeing their perspective, but we're not hearing their monologue, obviously. Their internals.
Yeah, and I think original Dexter had a really great way of vocalizing all of that in dialogue, just very casually. You heard all of these internal thoughts in a different way.
Deb used to talk to herself.
Well, Deb, but everyone else around too.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
They did it through dialogue by having Deb talk out loud to herself.
Yeah.
You know
and
what
she
I mean?
would question herself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they had the therapists in there so they could dive into other things. That's not to say that any of this is being done
Right.
poorly or anything. It's just different.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see the kind of switch in this sense.
Yeah, and I know we had speculated before about whether or not Harrison has committed a kill before or attacked someone before.
Yes.
And on rewatch, I really don't think that's the case, just given the way that he responded and reacted to the blood when he cut the girl at the party. It felt like it's a rush that he doesn't understand. That he knows he should be at least squeamish by it, but it probably felt more right to him than he was comfortable with, which is why he was doing all the drugs.
He almost looked a little frightened to me when he did it, but then kind of like stunned.
That's what I mean. I think he was stunned by the fact that he knew that what he felt wasn't the right way to feel about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really hoping that it just doesn't end so tragically. In that, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, Dexter had to kill his own brother, and I'm really hoping that Harrison doesn't have to kill his own dad. I don't know. I just think there's something about multiple serial killers that I don't know how many of them can survive in Dexterland.
Yeah, the only one who got away that he worked with was Lumen.
Yeah, but she was only...
and Hannah.
Yeah.
Historically, every serial killer he comes across that he even tries to partner with, even for a short period of time, he ends up having to kill.
And Lumen didn't... I feel like it was only her situation. I don't think she would have been on that road had it not been for being a victim.
Regardless of motive. It's a serial killer who was exposed to Dexter directly.
Okay.
Well, I think with that, I'm ready to go ahead and dig into this new episode, get it started, and like we've done in the last couple of them, kind of a watch-along live reaction as we go. Are you ready for it?
Let's do it.
Let's take a stab at it. Killed it.
Okay.
Let's slice it up.
I wish they could see how much you're smiling every time you say these lines.
I'm so good at it. T-shirts, mugs, knife set.
We don't have any of this written down, so this is all on the top of Marsh's head.
Yeah, none of it's written down.
This is why he's smiling so much.
I'm illiterate.
Okay. It's not... Don't say that. All right, so we just saw Kurt, and he's creating this piece to put over his last victim's eyeball that he shot out. And he's doing it very gently, and then all of a sudden he gets frustrated because he remembers how it went down, which wasn't how he planned, and he just starts just punching her eye, and it was just, oh, both of us just went, oh.
I don't think it has anything to do with him remembering. I think what it was is that he was trying to see if he could repair her face, because what we haven't seen yet is how he displays the bodies, or what his trophies are. Ultimately, that's what we're looking at, is trophies.
Yeah.
He keeps the bodies in some way, and at this point, it appears like it's some form of taxidermy.
Yeah.
And he was trying to repair her face and realized it was not going to look right because it's fucking clay. And he gets frustrated in that. Not that he remembers that she ruined it, but he's frustrated because she ruined it, because he can't go through with his trophy, because he can't display the way he likes to display, which, whatever that is going to be a moment.
Yeah, I'm also really wondering, like, where are these victims kept? Because if he's been doing this for like 30 years, like his home isn't that big, I think. So I'm just like wondering, where the hell are these things?
What if he's got some sort of like tomb underneath, like like almost
Crypt?
like a wine cellar, like a crypt?
A crypt, yeah.
Well, I mean, there was that big flash that we had in one of them where he's closing the drawers. I wonder if he just opens up the drawers and looks at his victims that way. I mean, we don't know yet.
Oh, yeah. I have a feeling that Angela is gonna be the one to find him. I don't know why, but I feel like she's gonna see her best friend from her high school years, who's gonna be the one. But I think
we're
know.
So far away from that, though.
Yeah.
And I think that we're gonna see how he displays, for lack of a better term, how he his trophies. Also, she was in almost like a baptismal dress. Like, it was this really white, almost soft dress that she was in, and that makes you wonder what we're going to see as far as that goes, too.
And we also did see some more miscommunication between Dexter and Harrison, where Harrison wants to get the job, and he admits that, I didn't go see a therapist. I saw Kurt, and, I'm going to get this job anyway. That was a bummer, because we had these hopeful moments of, oh, great, they're actually going to start to build some sort of relationship, and then it just falls apart again so quickly.
Yeah, I mean, but Dexter has every reason to be hesitant, outside of the idea that he murdered Kurt's kid.
Right.
Just from a parenting aspect, this kid's been real fucking abrasive every step of the way. Now he's doing chores and asking you for something. Sign this for me so I can get this job.
Oh, yeah.
He's done nothing. Harrison's done literally nothing to come off genuine or deserving of a job. It looked like an attempt at manipulation that Dexter was just not going to fall for without having more of a conversation about it. And then obviously the complication with murdering Kurt's kid.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm so fascinated by their relationship, because it's like he's such a lost kid who obviously just puts blame on Dexter.
Yeah.
And I just hope that gets resolved at some point. But here we have Angela speeding after Dexter, and
Lights are flaring.
Here we go. Is this the moment where he's gonna say, "Yep, I'm Dexter," or what's he gonna come up with? And I don't know. Here we go. So Angela does confront Dexter and says, "What the hell? You've been lying to me." And I thought it was a really fantastic monologue that Dexter gave that felt very genuine and honest. I felt like it was pretty seamless, because it was just so true to what actually happened, how he actually felt. And at the same time, I'm really happy that Angela's kind of sharp enough to say, yeah, you have been lying to me this whole time, and that's not cool. Unlike, his wife, who was lied to from the very beginning, that he always regretted. If she had known anything about his true identity, I don't think, she would have gone with him. But at least here, Angela's given the opportunity, and she says, no, I don't want anything to do with you right now. Marsh and I are like at the edge of our seats because so much has happened in this episode, but the scene where Dexter starts following Kurt, he starts watching the podcaster talk with Kurt, and he's going, what is going on here? Starts getting suspicions that maybe she's after him. So, records the conversation, follows them as Kurt is leading her down the hallway where we know all these victims have been just kept. And we're thinking, well, I don't know, maybe he is going to let this woman die by Kurt's hand. And Dexter even says, well, it would almost be poetic. You're just thinking, damn, that sucks. I was screaming because I was like, no, I love this character. Let the podcaster live.
Yeah, Molly's cool. I was so certain that Dexter was going to just hang out outside, see Kurt go down there with Molly and come out by himself. And then we were going to have a couple episodes where Molly's locked down there, and I was like, oh shit. But they're down there, Molly's got pepper spray in her hand, and all of a sudden the doors open. I'm like, the fuck? And Dexter comes down, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And now Dexter is like Heisman Trophy
dodging Kurt. Like,
gets around him and then goes, it's like, whoa, we came all this way, might as well go check out the
no,
roof.
Kurt's like, no, he's not here. Let's just go. And Dexter's not, nope, we came this way.
And he's already assessing it, saying like the doors lock only from outside. There's no doorknob on the inside. Like he knows exactly what he's looking at.
Yeah, because Dexter used to be so good at scoping out other serial killers.
Well, he said as soon as he pulled up to the cabin, he said no electrical wiring coming to it. The house is
off
propane.
The grid.
Yeah, he said couldn't be more off the grid. Serial killer 101.
Yeah, so this is just like, to me, I just, again, see so many similarities with Trinity in that it's like you start seeing these cracks of the foundation, right? And Dexter never got to see it, but Harrison, if he was a bit more stealth, he could have seen it because as Kurt was outside in front of the diner, he starts, getting a new suspect. He starts having these cracks of this like perfect nice guy foundation. And then here you start seeing it again, where he's like, all right, well, I'm a nice guy, Kurt. And as soon as Dexter just bum rushes him, it just starts falling apart. And you see Kurt is just like starting to lose it.
Yeah, he's reeling. He needs a kill and he needs it to go right. Because that last one went so wrong that it's not only just a sour taste in his mouth, it's ruining his whole flow of things. He needs like a redemption kill at this point.
Yeah, I love the way that we are not able to see where the hell this is going. It's great. And
this is a much more methodical pace feeling to me than the last one was. But they opened up really well by going into the chief ultimately being more upset that Dexter lied to her than she was suspicious of anything.
Yeah.
So I think they did a really good job of just moving along to that point. And this one feels a lot more like, I mean, you could have slow string songs, like violin in the background, this whole thing, just with the edge of your seat.
Yeah. I mean, I think they also did such a good job with that because you've got so many other things piling on top, right? You had Harrison not only, Dexter having a rough time through therapy, but then you also had, Harrison escapes during the middle of the night, runs away, and then ends up with the chief's daughter, the next morning in bed with her. And so it's like you've got one thing piling on to the next where Angela is just like, okay. Get it together.
Yeah, Harrison also took a stab at it.
Okay, come on.
Okay, all right.
Really?
Well, but I do think that it's really interesting, Dexter becoming obsessed with Molly and her podcast. Mm-hmm. No matter how much Dexter keeps trying to say he's trying to connect and miscommunicating with Harrison continues to be an afterthought.
Yeah.
Harrison says, if you didn't talk to me during therapy, what makes me think it's going to be different now? And instead of saying anything or trying to spark a conversation, he just says, fuck it, puts on headphones and listens to the podcast. And his whole thing becomes, how close is she? What does she know? As soon as there's any pushback from Harrison, Dexter just goes, bap, oh well.
I mean, well, you say that, but then he did actually ask Deb. He's like, what do I do? And she's like, hell if I know. So it's like, he's got no guiding source on this. And he can't ask Angela because Angela's screw you. You know, like he really, I feel like, has just no parental guide at this point.
Yeah, but Deb's been back and forth with him. Like, every time he starts to say I should talk to him or tell him or be honest, she's like, no, you shouldn't. The voice of Deb is telling him to lie. Telling Dexter to lie to Harrison and hold all that stuff back, and maybe it'll just sort itself out. And every time he has the instinct of, I need to be proactive or honest, he's getting internal pushback.
I mean, it's that constant struggle of, am I going to create the serial killer, the next serial killer, or, you know, he already has this and let me try to guide it. I don't think he's got that know-how.
No, because he hasn't talked to Harrison at all. He doesn't know where Harrison's mindset is.
I mean, we got a good idea in therapy. Just the fact that he said, I feel abandoned this moment.
No. Okay. All that did was tell Dexter that Harrison feels like you're not talking to me. And that's all that Harrison's been saying anyways. The only insight we really got was when Harrison was talking to the girl and said, I feel like hurting people all the time, and I hurt somebody.
Yeah, that made me mad, because the whole time I was just thinking, you can't tell any of this to Dexter.
Well, yeah, because Dexter's not asking any of those questions. Even the daughter, the whole time she's like, oh, I completely understand where you're coming from, and I get it all. You're just like, no, you fucking don't.
You have no idea.
But it also shows just how simple it is to get in the mind of Harrison. Just tell him you understand, and he'll tell you everything. And Dexter's not even going that far.
Well, he did say in the last episode, I know you're going through something that you don't understand. He said that in the last.
And that doesn't mean I understand. It just means you are an angsty teenager. It sounds dismissive from a kid's perspective.
All right. Well.
Yeah, fuck you, old man. He's like, I know you seem confused. Yeah, sure. You know what I mean? Like, where with the girl, she's like, I understand what you're talking about. I was adopted. Dexter went through and talked about how he was adopted and was flippant about it. Didn't use that as leverage of I really understand. He goes, I made peace with this. Oh, I made peace with that. Oh, well, everything was fine.
Yeah, but we know that Dexter is trying to suppress it, right? Because in Last Dexter, he had so many emotions that were overpowering him that he's like, God, now I feel everything I wanted to stop. So I think if he doesn't hold back, he feels like he just won't be able to stop sharing. I don't think he has that method down right now.
Yeah, but Harrison's the one person he probably should be sharing that with.
I don't know. He's the blabbermouth that originally said, oh yeah, my dad's real name isn't really Jim, so...
That's true. Harrison's a little shitbag.
I don't think Harrison's got a great handle on keeping secrets either.
Yeah. I hate that kid. But... yeah, let's find out now that Dexter's inside that room.
All right. So Dexter totally ruins Kurt's plan, right? He enters the fake hotel room, and Kurt's found out, and in that, yep, my son's not here. Sorry about that. And it was just so creepy when when Dexter says, oh, no worries. It's, just here as a friendly neighbor. And Kurt's just like, yep, I'll have to return the favor. And we just went, oh!
Yep. Yeah. Thanks for looking out. I'll have to return the favor, which means potentially that Kurt might be starting to take a closer look at the old Jimbo, as it were.
Yeah. I mean, not only that, but we already know that Kurt has a much better relationship with Harrison, and that's kind of the only thing he claims to care about.
And Logan, the police officer. Logan was
true. Yeah.
Adamantly refusing the concept that Angela had that Kurt might be trying to hide something. So Kurt's pretty well protected right now. But Dexter did say as he goes into that room, maybe Kurt is the guy that Angela's looking for. Which also, does Dexter want to be the one to kill at this point, or could he potentially be trying to get back into the good favors of the police department? If he finds out enough, could he tip off Angela? This might be worth looking at. We don't know.
I think it would be helpful if he just tipped off Angela, honestly. Let her do her job and get her win, and get him out of the way on
Yeah.
the same token. But
Yeah. Oh shit!
oh my god. Did we call it or did we call it? I'm just
Or
saying.
did we call it?
That was a crazy way to end. So, Angela's digging through the caves, right? That Kurt didn't want her to go to. And who does she find? Her best friend, which I definitely thought was going to happen. I thought if anyone's going to find her best friend, it's going to be her.
Now here's the other weird bit too. So they get into the caves, they find some sort of man-made loose rock type stuff, dig it out, climb through there. Very difficult. And I was like, if this is where he's keeping all the trophies, what a difficult fucking way to have to get everybody in there every time. Until she gets in there and she's seeing more or less an empty room with a pile of rocks. And I went, what if it's not where he keeps all of them? It's just where he keeps the first one. And that would definitely be her friend, Iris, because that was the first one that really went missing.
Yeah, and we still don't have any backstory as far as Kurt goes. Unlike Trinity, where we got a lot of information, bits and bits of info from Trinity through that season. We don't really get any backstory for Kurt other than he had a son, never talks about the mom, no mention of women in his life. So gonna be very curious to see how that plays out. And as it draws towards the end, Kurt obviously is so involved with the community that he feels so untouchable. He rushes down to the wrestling match that Harrison's in. He's coaching Harrison. And you could just see this, this aura of, no one's able to tell me anything. I own this town, kind of.
Yep.
And Dexter obviously gets really pissed at him, starts getting in his face towards the end because what happens, Harrison's dark passenger comes up.
Yeah, he breaks that kid's arm.
Oh, that was gnarly.
So good.
That was gnarly.
Going to the dark side. And then Dexter says, his dark...
dark passenger?
I didn't say it like that.
Oh.
He said something about his violent side, makes a public appearance and such. I do think we can get pretty close to Dexter talking to Harrison in a level of, yo, dude, we can harness this shit. But to circle back to the idea of the lack of backstory with Kurt, I do think that there was a lot, especially even with the Trinity season, there was a lot of episodes before we really started getting that far into why he had the victims he had. But I think that now that Dexter and Molly are kind of chummy, they may start to uncover things together that could help Dexter in his quest to validate the want to kill Kurt,
Yeah, and it was also like I predicted in that, or one of my theories was that at the very end of this one, we have Angela calling Dexter and he's answering as Jim. And she says, I don't need Jim right now. I need Dexter Morgan.
Yeah. Like you had speculated in the episode before that once she knows that Dexter is Dexter and his real history of being forensics, is she going to start to leverage his past?
I mean, I think that she needs as many resources as possible. And the fact that she's able to use a podcaster, has no police background, she definitely, I just thought she would definitely want to use his expertise.
Yeah, she would have read the obituary, which would have talked about him being a forensic specialist and stuff. And Angel even put over Dexter as being an incredible forensic mind at the time. So, yeah, very easily she could be saying, I need a forensic expert like none other.
Yeah, and this is going in a really fast pace, and I'm super excited to see where it goes because, yeah, there's a lot going on. You're wondering I don't know. Is Kurt just gonna take off? Is he gonna go on the run? Is he gonna make another quick kill? Does he have another location that we don't know about? Is he just gonna keep faking it and say, "Oh no, I got all these other alibis"?
I really don't think Kurt is on to the idea that anyone is onto him at all.
No.
I think that he thinks he's super in the clear.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I'm just saying for the next episode, I'm thinking that obviously they're going to be rushing back to town to say, "Hey, what the hell, Kurt?"
No, they're not.
No?
They're going to hold that one close to the chest.
Oh,
that's going
okay.
to be that's going to be get Dexter out here to give an assessment. Kurt didn't want us to search these caves. They can't necessarily prove that he didn't want them to search the caves. All he did was the day before they were supposed to get to the caves, faked seeing his son. Doesn't necessarily mean that there couldn't be another motive or reason or any of the excuses that Kurt's given over and over again. Yeah, look, I saw him. Yeah, maybe I didn't FaceTime him. Yeah, he's over here. He's also created a number of alibis that puts him with Kurt that is just unprovable because it didn't happen. So I don't think they have enough to say, Kurt, you have to answer to us searching this cave. He could just as easily say coincidental timing. I didn't want to, I wanted to end for other reasons, right? So they're going to hold this one close to their chest. Dexter's going to try and find a way to link it to Kurt, and they're going to start working all this stuff behind Kurt's back.
I do wonder how this is going to progress or halt the relationship between Harrison and Dexter, because Kurt is so on Harrison's side, right? And Harrison's actually standing up for Kurt, telling Dexter at the very end, hey, what do you have against Kurt? And he said, oh, I just don't like the guy. And so I wonder if Harrison's just going to be another leverage point for Kurt.
Maybe. I think that if Dexter uses this, if he follows up with I bet he told you to hurt him, and then follows with, more information, I think he could win Harrison over and become the actual coach that Kurt's because Harrison's going to Kurt because Kurt's being what Harrison wants Dexter to be. Dexter could step into that role in a much more effective way real quick, but he might not.
Thank you for tuning in to Dexter New Blood Who Dis. You can follow us on Twitter at WOTR The Show.
Yep, me, I'm at Ref Marsh. Join the chatter, slide into them DMs, take a stab at it with us.
Yeah, let us know what you think. Any theories you have. Like I said, we are just super excited to just continue watching this story develop and fold. Watch how these characters are changing, right? Dexter obviously changing. Deb, they're all just going through just new everything, I feel like.
Yeah. And I'll say this too, because I've seen a lot of chatter online with people saying they stopped watching after so many seasons of the original series. The season 4 was peak season. I saw people even saying season 5 and after tailored off. And I understand where those people are coming from. I don't agree with them necessarily, but I also think that their hesitancy to watch this show is shooting their own selves in the foot. I think something else that this show has done, maybe purposefully, I would assume so, it's validated a lot of those final seasons. That back end of Dexter original has been validated and strengthened by this show specifically, that almost like if you had any issues after season 4, this patches a lot of that stuff up and keeps moving at such a good pace. This is peak Dexter.
Yeah. And I mean, I know there were some characters I didn't care for, but that never kept me from like watching the show, because I felt like I usually enjoyed the entire cast. So if there was maybe one or two characters I didn't care for that were temporary, I could kind of see past it, and look at the overall story. And
there were times where it's all like Dexter's coming off real stupid here in the original version, but at the same time, it's like humans are complicated and humans do things, and even the smartest can be caught up in stupid situations or show a side of them that was not very thoughtful. So I don't think any of the things that people try to point to as spoiling or ruining. I think they're being overly sensitive to the complexity of Humanity.
Yeah, and I think that's what's been really great about this show. And I mean, I think this episode too, just the therapy session where you see Dexter so like caught up in his own emotions to the point where he doesn't even like he just shuts down and doesn't want to share them.
Yeah.
Is just like that's so complex that Harrison doesn't understand it, right? He just thinks, "Oh, you just don't want to talk." When in reality, you know, we know that no, that was like such a traumatic experience. You know, the last episode of last Dexter where you know, he had to let Deb go and she died. Like all of that was just so built up, so much emotion that yeah, he doesn't want to share because he doesn't actually want to feel everything he's feeling.
Yeah, or face it.
Or face it. Yeah, right, right. So, yeah, I like that it's progressing at a really solid pace. This episode didn't feel too fast or too slow. I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, this one was fantastic.
Well, thanks for tuning in.
Cheers.
Cheers.